Welcome to a very special episode today of Cosmic Road, where we are joined by Scott Roeder, and we are going to be talking about the Las Vegas alien in the backyard situation. So, welcome to the show, Scott.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, this should be a great one. I can't wait to dive into your research and take us a little bit through your qualifications. I know you use your expertise to recreate crime scenes. Am I understanding that right?
Right. Yeah. My daytime job, I'm a crime scene reconstruction expert. I specialize in shooting scene reconstruction as well. I'm court qualified as a video analyst. And then my company, Evidence Room, creates forensic computer animations for reconstructing crimes, accidents, murders, catastrophic events for the purposes of testimony in court as an expert witness.
Well, that's really wonderful. I'm sure you do a lot of good in your day job,
We
righting
try.
wrongs, and hopefully you can right a wrong. In this case, a less human wrong, or at least a
Yeah.
misunderstanding, possibly. So yeah, absolutely. If you want to share your screen or however you want to do it, to walk us through your
Yeah.
analysis of what happened that day in
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Sure. Let me before I share the screen, let me give a little bit of a background on kind of how I got involved on this and the evolution from when I first looked at the video until we're sitting here talking about it today. Uh, when I first looked at this video, the entity or the thing that I saw in it was not this object or this being that we saw above the fence. It was what I was kind of trained to look at, which was what were the people reacting to. And the Kenmore family, in my opinion, were reacting to something in the background. And in the background, I was able to identify some moving being that was moving from right to left on the screen in about a 1 second moment where the head of Angel's father and Angel separate. And it was really there that I left the conclusion that there was something legitimate in this video. And we left it there for about 6 months or so before I even looked at the case again. And then a viewer of Jim Quirk on Extraterrestrial Reality.
Well, love Jim.
Yeah, Jim's a great guy. I call him the mustache marauder because he's a pit bull when it comes to keeping those guys in the government accountable. And one of his subscribers had sent him a clip of the video saying, "Hey, I think there's something above the fence." And then he brought that to my attention, and it was, hate to use the overused term, hidden in plain sight, but it was right there the whole time. But if your eye isn't trained to look at it, or if you just don't see it, you might not see it at all. So it was very interesting that after all this time looking at the video, somebody just from the community calls our attention to the area and we're able to look at it and find something I think truly inexplicable. And I'll share the screen with you now, and we will take a look at um, what we have here. So
And what
now
was
I
your
need to
interest in UFOs and aliens before all of this?
well, I mean, I think just casual. A good friend of mine is a gentleman they call Ross Coulthart,
Oh yeah,
investigative journalist. I met him 10 years ago on the Oscar
cool.
Pistorius case, which is a case that I did 10 years ago. And if everybody's interested, I've got a show that's dropping May 12th, Mother's Day, on CNN called How It Really Happened 10 Years Later, the Trial of Oscar Pistorius, which was okay. I traveled to South Africa. I did that case, and we're going to be covering that on the CNN show. So if you ever wants to tune into that, we're happy to take comments, through the grapevine after it's all over. But it was an interesting case. But that's where I met Ross Coulthart, and I'd done several. Crime scene reconstructions for Ross for his former employment, Channel 7 Australia, which is a TV show in Sydney that is basically like their version of 60 Minutes, And so I did the murder of Nadine Haag, the police shooting of Constable Rolfe, and also uh, another show I did for them. And then I'm doing one actually June 1st. I'm flying to Australia to do another case for a homicide. So in the course of that relationship with Ross, he was writing the book in plain sight. And I was always, as a crime scene reconstruction expert, I think I came into the UFO thing through the back door. And that was because of my interest as a shooting scene reconstructionist and the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And when I was investigating the assassination of John F. Kennedy with one of my good friends, Dr. Cyril Weck, who's 94 years old. He's a forensic pathologist out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I wrote a book with him and Dr. Henry Lee called Prevention of Officer Involved Deaths. And after getting to know Dr. Weck, he was 29 years old at the time Kennedy was killed. And he was a doctor at that time, just out of the military, very highly credentialed. And he was friends with the doctor at Parkland Medical Hospital who actually did the physical autopsy of John F. Kennedy. And once I realized that there was a conspiracy that John F. Kennedy was in fact shot at by up to 5 bullets, and Lee Harvey Oswald was in fact truly a patsy, it begged the question, well, why did they want to kill John F. Kennedy? And that led me to the Kona Blue file and the UFO phenomenon, where it seems to me that John F. Kennedy was assassinated in part because of his anti-war stance, in part because he wanted to collaborate with Premier Khrushchev of the former Soviet Union on the de-proliferation of nuclear weapons. And he wanted to go to the moon as a joint mission with Russia, the Soviet Union. So the UFO file was critical, I think, in part in why he was assassinated. And that's how I really got into the UFO phenomenon was, well, why did they kill Kennedy? And clearly he was all over the UFO file back in 1963. And he wanted to pull the UFO file away from the CIA. And the CIA, as we know, is deeply involved in the cover up of the evidence of extraterrestrials, their presence on Earth for a long, long period of time. So I kept poking and prodding Ross while he was doing his UFO investigation. Well, what about Kennedy? What about Kennedy? What about John F. Kennedy? What about Bobby Kennedy? Why, what about Nixon? What's going on? Why, aren't you investigating that file? Because, in my opinion, the UFO file and the permanent state, some people call it the deep state, some people call it the secret control group, some people call it the CIA, whatever people call it, the controllers, the predator and parasite class of our political movement has really those two things are connected. The secrecy of the UFO technology, in my opinion, is secret because it's being militarized. And the people who are militarizing the UFO technology are the people who want us at a state of permanent war. And so I think my urging is that the UFO community merges with the people that are skeptical of the deep state community. And there, I think you will find a convergence of to the truth about the real UFO secrecy. But that's just my humble opinion as a crime scene expert, where I always try to follow the most simple line of questioning, which is who has motive, who has capability, and who benefits from certain things happening. And so that's kind of how I got involved in the UFO phenomenon, really, I guess.
Well, that's great thoughts, and thank you very much for taking us through all of that. I'm very curious about Kennedy's assassination and whether that has anything to do with UFOs or not. Danny Sheehan came out recently having some very strong and what he believes are definitive beliefs or statements about Kennedy's assassination. Now, he doesn't think it has anything to do with UFOs, but I have read other very compelling pieces of evidence to suggest that maybe it did have something to do with UFOs. But either way, nothing about Las Vegas. Nothing
Well,
to.
I mean, I'm just saying, you asked me the question how I got interested in UFOs, and I think that's really how. And listen, I'm not saying the only reason Kennedy was assassinated was because of his interest in sharing the UFO file with the Soviet Union. I think that that was one of many reasons. Also, many reasons why he was killed. That was just one of them, maybe not the only reason, but I think it plays a role. But in any event, I need to share my screen with you. Okay, here we go. Now, this is the unedited original HD footage for your viewing pleasure. We'll watch it all the way from the beginning to the end. We can talk through it. I might pause it here and there, but here we go. So now this is a critical component here, right here. Boom. Right there is now here. Now, this is the raw video, so it's going to be very difficult to see. But let's go forward frame by frame. See, Angel's head is here, and his father's head is here. And right here is what I ended up picking up as being the first entity. So, right. See now, do you see the father's reaction? He starts to shrug his shoulders like something scared him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then right here is two eyes and a head. Okay. And now in another video, augmented this. And I could show that to you now because this is what made them run, right? And they're like, they got out of there. Okay. So now let's back out of that for a quick second and let's go back to the other video. Now right here, this is that 1 second where their heads are separated, and I've zoomed in and let's put this on a loop so that everybody, and I'll go full screen as well. We're going to put this on a loop and then we'll go full screen. Okay. And then here we go. Okay. Right before my mouse, right at it, right there.
Yeah, I can see something. There's clearly something there, and it seems to be
Yes.
moving.
Yes. And that, I'll turn off the audio. And that is right, right there, right there. Right there. That is what they are reacting to. This being in the background is what the Kenmore family is reacting to. And they, I don't even believe, saw the being on that's comes in from right to left over the fence. And I was so focused on this at 6 months ago that I didn't even look over the fence. Okay, so let's get back out of that. Okay, we'll put that down here. And then we'll go back to this video of the full thing and go back to here. Okay, now that's exactly the moment where they were reacting. Now let's go forward frame by frame. And now look to the right of the screen, right here where I have my mouse. Now, mind you, this is the raw, unedited footage. See that shadow coming in?
I see it.
Okay. Now you see the shadow coming in again. There it is. And now the eyes are taking shape. And there it is right there. There's one eye, there's two eyes, there's a head right there.
Ooh, if that is the head of a being, that is wild, man. That is
That
wild.
is the head of a being. Now, we've done several pieces of analysis on my YouTube channel. There's a 30-minute video called Vegas Investigation. So if people go to look up Scott Roeder at Crime Scene on YouTube, they can look up the full 31-minute video that I did analyzing not just this video, but I analyzed the Meteor slash UFO that led to or that happened right before Angel called 911. And we go through a whole breakdown on the UFO slash meteor, and there's a lot of bizarre anomalies about that meteor as well. And it happens just before Angel calls 911 about beings being in his backyard. So clearly, we see something in the background that's scaring the family. And then we see this being to the right coming to right to left into the screen over the fence. Now, Angel said that these beings were 8 to 10 feet tall. They had big eyes, and they froze when they were engaged visually, and that's very consistent with the things that I've read. And it might be ontological shock because these beings vibrate at such a bizarre rate that they give off this energy that just shocks you into being frozen. Or they could have the technology to turn you off, right? I think that's what scares people about the UFO phenomenon, particularly the alien being phenomenon, is that if they are so advanced psychically, kinetically, technologically, and from a hardware standpoint, and if they have the ability to just turn us off like a toy, well, that's pretty scary, right? So we don't know, but you know, Angel said that he was frozen, and it could be just because he was scared. But clearly, we have three armed men and their mother filming from the rear. And I've heard a lot of comments on my YouTube channel. Say, I wish you would have just filmed it landscape style, you know, then we could have got more in the picture. I'm like, I agree. Always film it landscape. I don't know. I don't like the vertical style either.
Yeah, me
But
either. Me either.
yeah, but
But you know that
but
that's very consistent with experiencer accounts is being frozen. I've
yeah,
I've studied a lot of experiencer accounts, and that is very consistent among many of them. And so yeah, it's not surprising that the Angels family experienced that as well.
yeah. So but if you have to, I want to talk about the Kenmore family for a second and what they did. Right. This is the perfect secure way, if you're a family of four and you have some kind of an intruder in your yard, this is how you do it. This is how the police would do it. This is how the military would do it. This is a four-person tactical team, right? We've got the dad, the oldest, the most experienced, armed at the front. We've got the next oldest right behind him, armed second. And then we have the younger brother with a flashlight and a gun in third position, and then the mom is in the rear filming and documenting. This is a sophisticated family who understands how to protect their property and use their family as a team. And I give them all the credit in the world. If you have an intruder and you have four people and this is how you do it, folks. These people know what they're doing. These are smart, capable people. And if they would have saw a coyote or a bum or a deer or a raccoon or a predator, they would have shot the thing. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But these three men and the mother, they immediately got the heck out of there because what they saw scared them so badly they couldn't process it other than the fight or flight, right? They flew, baby. This was not a fight. They felt they could have engaged with the weapons that they had, even three deep. So they opted for the flight, which was probably a good course of action. And it was at that time that the being then pops in from the right to the left, and then the mom, of course, and I'll mute it again on my end. I don't know if the people can
Yeah, I'm still
hear
not
that,
hearing
but
any audio. I don't know if
yeah,
the
it's
viewers will be
loud
able
as
to hear audio, but
but
it is
well,
what it
there's
is.
audio on the internet, and if people want to see the audio, they can go to my YouTube page, Scott Roeder at Crime Scene, and you can check out the audio there. But so now they've just encountered the being in the background. I don't believe that they've recognized the being that's above the fence to the right, but now they're looking through the fence, and the father, from what I garnered, because I can't translate it, the father is saying, and Angel said now that both of those beings are in the forklift. So right in here. Now I've had other people, they zoom in on it, and we'll try to see it. It's very difficult, but and I haven't really analyzed this part of it that much yet because I was so focused on hammering down the entity above the fence. But there looks like in this forklift here, there might be a being here and a being here. and we're working to try to clarify that. Okay, now that's my dog barking in the background, Mr. Bear, Belgian Malinois, who will rip anybody to shreds that steps into my yard. So if the aliens come into my yard, watch out for the Belgian Malinois. He'll rip your face off. Okay, so that would be my advice to anybody out there afraid of afraid of alien beings. I don't think they like dogs. I don't think dogs like them. And anybody sneaking around in the middle of the night, chances are you're not up to any good, and we're going to come at you with guns too. So,
Well, it's interesting because the ghosts don't seem to like dogs either. So yeah, interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You see, cats are different. Cats will, chill with a paranormal being, but dogs don't like that. And one the other thing that I want to bring up, because this is more than just about, I think, the aliens in the backyard in Las Vegas. Although that's, I think the important subject that we're talking about. But the human being only has the ability to see point 0.5 or half of 1% of the total visible light spectrum that exists, which means we're blind. We're like a mole walking under the ground and we don't see much. Dogs, their senses of smell and perception are times 1,000 of what we are. Cats, their vision is times 20 of what we are. There's certain animals out there, owls, and other animals that they can see things that we are totally invisible. They're totally invisible to us. So the UFO phenomenon seems to tap into our inability, excuse my dog, of course, our inability to have full vision like these beings might have. And a lot of these beings apparently have large eyes, which means they probably live in a low light or different kind of light environment. And and I think that's probably why they show up at night more than they do during the day. Because during the day, I would think that they might be on the verge of being blind because our sun is so bright, they might not be able to see. Now, that's just a hypothesis, and I guess we might find out on that one day, one way or the other. But yeah, no, clearly in this video, we're able to identify that there's not a shadow whatsoever. And I'll tell you why it's not a shadow. It's a very simple explanation on why it's not a shadow. And if you want to, I don't want to stop sharing my screen now. Let's go back to here. How do I do that? I want to stop sharing. Stop share. Okay. And then I'll go back to full screen here. Okay. Uh, so now also in this case, the meteor slash UFO that happens right before the encounter in the backyard is also extremely, extremely interesting. Uh, we looked at it, and there was some great investigation done on 4chan and on Reddit and on TikTok and on YouTube by other professionals out there that looked at the FLIR camera from police cars, a self-driving car, that a Google Earth car that was mapping the roads, that was capturing both heat signature video and other types and other types of videos. Uh, Now, according to the heat signature video captured by the self-driving vehicle, the meteor has no heat signature. Okay, so I find that to be bizarre because my understanding of a meteor is it's a rock hurling through space and it hits our atmosphere and it blows up, and that's why we see the streak. That should be hot. Now, there's no heat signature to the meteor, so that's weird. Also, the fact that the meteor makes a weird oscillating mechanical sound, according to some ring camera footage that I was able to find. That's authentic. So there is an oscillating mechanical sound when the meteor is coming down. I find that weird. I've done research. I don't think there's any sounds like that are associated with meteors that I can find. I also have not found any evidence of meteors not showing up on heat signatures. And then also there's another video I'm trying to verify its authenticity, but it shows something else following the meteor through to the ground. And also
Oh,
it
that's
seems,
interesting. I hadn't heard that before.
yeah, and I haven't put it out yet because I haven't verified that it's authentic or not. It looks authentic to me, but I just don't know yet. I'm trying to track down the original poster of the video to see if I can get the raw video, because that's the way to do it, Jack. And that's what I'm trying to get out the message to people out there. Forget about Arrow, forget about NASA, forget about the government. Nobody's there to help you. They don't want your videos. They don't care if it's real or not or what you think about any of this. They're not interested in your opinion, but I am. Okay. And if you have a video and you can send me the original video with the metadata of something anomalous that you think you've been able to capture, whether it's an entity or a ghost or or a UFO in the sky or something that you just think is unexplainable under normal conventions, if you send me the original video, we can go through the same scientific process that we would go through a video if we're trying to verify its authenticity for court, right? And this is the same process that I use in defending people of murder, in working with prosecutors, in prosecuting people for murder, in police shooting cases, in death cases. It's the same methodical scientific process of verifying the authenticity of a video and then looking to see what's really in there. And that's what I think is a good sign for crowdsourced disclosure is we don't need the government. We don't need Arrow. We don't need congressmen. We don't need the senators. We don't need whistleblowers. We don't need any of them because they're all just going to lie to us anyway, right? So what we have to do as a community is we all have expertise. I have expertise. There's other people out there with different kinds of expertise. We marshal our resources as private citizens and not for money. I'm not making any money off of this. My channel is not even monetized. My podcast, Crime Scene Time Machine on Spotify, I have no commercials. I have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Crime Scene Time Machine. We ask for donations of $8, the price of a cup of coffee, and that's it. But we don't we don't run ads. You're not going to get pills or cars or drugs or any kind of garbage. We just don't do it because I don't want the money in this. This is a side passion thing that I want to do for the benefit of the community, by the community, you know, for the benefit of everybody. And if we can move it forward just a tiny bit by adding some legitimacy to the process and not just worrying about what's on TikTok or what's on YouTube or this or that or the other, but find these authentic videos. We don't need the government to tell us what's real or what's not. I'm here to tell you, you, me, your viewers, my listeners, Jim Quirk's viewers, Gray Owl, and the rest of the community, we can do it on our own. And that's my message to you and everybody out there is listening.
No, I love it. I love it. And that's very generous of you. And thank you for offering that.
Yeah, I just think it's, because I feel stalled with the government, right? Listen, the government still hasn't come clean about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. That happened in 1963. Do you think the government is going to come clean about UFOs? Never, ever, ever. I'm with Richard Dolan.
Scott, are they going to
What?
come clean?
Never, ever. Forget about
Never.
it.
What?
Don't even worry about it. It doesn't matter what the government says. They are not here to tell you the truth. Sooner you get through that, the better. All this stuff with the government and the hearings, I was watching some of it like from 9 months. It's just, can I swear?
You
It's
can
just,
swear.
it's just bullshit. It's just total bullshit. And I listen to these guys. They're all compromised, man. When you get to that level of politics, you're compromised. And you're not there. Listen, we wouldn't be in endless wars if they cared what we thought. Okay? So let's not worry about them. We can take care of it ourselves. Why not?
Well, we definitely can't expect anything from Arrow or any of those guys. They're all part of the cover up, and that's the way it is. And I know, I'm sure a lot of Congress people are compromised. I hope there are some good ones that are committed to advocacy and transparency. That there seem to be at least a couple of good ones. So
Yeah, guys like
fingers crossed.
Kennedy, guys like John F. Kennedy, where they were the good ones. You know,
Yeah, they were.
you see what happens to the good ones. You know who else was a couple of good ones? Those Boeing whistleblowers. They were a
Yeah.
couple of good ones. What
Well,
happened to them?
yeah,
What happened to them?
what's going on with Boeing? Are they siphoning all their money into UFO projects and they can't spend any on their conventional projects? And so these whistleblowers are coming forward saying, "Hey, it's not safe because for whatever reason." Well, what's going on with Boeing? Any idea? Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, that's not my area of expertise, but certainly they are a, very high level asset company. They are intertwined not only with the personal travel of hundreds of thousands of humans in the air every day, but they are, from what the people that say they know say, they are firmly in the middle of all the military contracts. They are firmly in the middle of all of the UFO recovery teams. And I think the reason why the private industry like Northrop Grumman and Raytheon and Boeing and Skunk Works and all these people, Bigelow and all those guys. The reason why they get the government secret UFO stuff is because you can't get at it with FOIA there, right? Because it's a private asset of a private company and you don't get to see that, right? So they offloaded it to the private industry who gets rewarded with unlimited budgets for war technology that they reverse engineer these crafts and such for military prowess and full spectrum dominance. Listen, I'm not trying to pick a fight with the military industrial complex. I'm just some guy doing my crime scene thing. So I'm not here to piss anybody off. But, I think that we have to wake up and be a little less immature or naive when it comes to the corporate class and their trillions of dollars that they get to make weapons of war. And you know, this one guy said recently, who was it? That English guy, uh, Russell Brand. He said, if you spend millions and millions of dollars a year in making bombs, and you spend trillions of dollars a year in making jet airplanes with fighter pilots and destroyers and nuclear bombs, you are then simply going to find a place to drop them and use them, because the simple fact that we're making weapons of war means that we are going to, out of necessity, find something to point it at and shoot at. And until we stop doing that, then we'll stop looking at targets to bomb. But I think that is the, kind of the nexus of why we're at permanent states of war. And I think the permanent, and oh, that's my dog barking. Hold on 1 second. I don't want to scream in your ear. Let me mute
Yeah, it's all
myself.
right. Dogs.
Screaming like, Bear, shut up. I love my dog, but he's got a mouth on him. Bear, you're such a good boy. You want to be on TV?
Hey,
This is
Bear.
Bear.
How's it going?
This
Oh,
is
that's a
Bear.
handsome fella. Look
Ah,
at that.
all right,
Look
get
at
out of here.
that.
Get out of here. Yeah. All right, so that's Mr. Bear. He's the guardian of these premises over
Hey,
here.
Mr. Bear.
Yeah. So all right, get out of here now. I'm on a podcast. Go. Um, yeah, man. So that's what I think.
All right, well, okay. So getting back to the Las Vegas thing. So
Yeah.
you're about to tell us why it's not a shadow.
Oh, right. Very simple. We all know how shadows works. You need a light source, you need an object, and you need a surface. Okay. So if the light is here, my head is here, my shadow would be right there, right? Especially if the light was pointed this way. Now, if I'm, say, behind a fence, say the fence is here, and there's a light source here, and where's the surface the shadow is on? Behind the fence. Shadows need surfaces to show up, right? This shadow, being, technique, creature, entity, above the fence at 8 to 10 feet, is floating right above the fence. I've never seen a shadow float in midair. A shadow
Me
needs
either.
a surface. It's that simple. That's why it's not a shadow. And
Makes
then
sense to me. So, okay, so is this a being that has a cloaking device? Is this a being that's vibrating at such a strange way that we can't see it with our naked eye, or the camera can't see it? Do you have any idea what is going on with that being?
I mean, I can only hypothesize that it's some kind of cloaking technique. Um, the reason I have that hypothesis is when I did my analysis, and again, the full analysis of 31 minutes long is on my YouTube channel, Scott Roeder Crime Scene, and you can see it there. But when we analyzed the pixels inside of the shadow of the head, or the shadow being, or the being cloaked in a shadow uh, above the fence, the pixels have been reduced by 33%. And that's bizarre. We cannot explain it. Every other object or image or shadow in that video is at full opacity with 100% of the pixels available, viewable, but only in the area of the head have the pixels been diminished by 33%.
That's
That could,
wild, Scott.
yeah,
That's crazy. So this cloaking device is actually limiting what the camera can see. Am I understanding that correctly?
that's what I interpreted to that. I mean, that's what the effect of it is. Uh, I would think that that's what the intent of a cloaking device would be to limit the ability of the image or the person or the thing to be seen both by the visual eye and by the mechanical aperture of a camera. So I think clearly it's very probable that it could be some kind of cloaking technology. Now, Gray Owl, who's a great collaborator in what he has coined the International Association of Loosely Affiliated Research Associates.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Oh, and by the way, Gray Owl set this interview up, so thank you, Gray Owl.
I know. I love Gray Owl. He's the
Yeah.
man out there, and and he's looked at, and he's got a very interesting technique, a little bit unconventional on how to analyze these videos, but it's really good. What he does, he puts it on full resolution on his computer, and then he takes his camera and he focuses in that way. It's really an interesting technique to bring out certain things that you just can't capture or relay. So it's an innovative thing that Grail's doing. My only advice to him was we got to get that camera on a tripod to get rid of some of that shake, you know. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's a really good technique, and he's a real smart guy. And he's a good guy to know in the event of that zombie apocalypse or alien invasion. If you're going to be looking for me, I'll be with Gray Owl. Okay, so
I love it. I love it.
yeah, no, he's a great guy. But you know, but there's more to that video. This isn't the end of the story. You know, this is just the beginning of the video of the story of the Las Vegas people, the Kenmore family. Because one, my number one goal, I think, is one to clear their name. You know, people that have been disparaging this good family, saying that it's a hoax and they're lying, this and that. Those people, I don't know how they sleep at night. You know, like fuck you. Like those people are assholes because they're just doing it to be jerks, right? Either that or they're scared and they can't handle the idea that aliens are here or whatever. So they want to attack the people that are literally just trying to say, this happened to me, right? And so, number one thing is, you know, these people are not lying. I find them 100% credible with regard to this event right here that we've been talking about. And the second thing is, you know, I think we're able to back up that, yeah, they're not lying. What they said, 8 to 10 foot beings, that's what we found. An 8 to 10 foot being above that fence. It's a 6 foot tall privacy fence. That head is right at about 8.5 feet. Okay. So, and that's not the being essentially maybe even standing all the way up. I would think that the being is crouching down a little bit. I don't know if the being is trying to scare them or it just happened upon them. We don't know any of that. But what we do know is that being behind the fence and the being that's in the background, and potentially those two beings that are sitting inside of the forklift, which we will analyze eventually. It takes a lot of time, you know, to do it. And I'm busy with my casework, and that's why I'm asking other people in the community to come forth and help us. You know, break it down like I did. Let's see what we can find. Um, uh, they exist, and I can tell you this with 100% certainty. Whatever they encountered that we caught on film, they're real. and they are real in the same physical reality as the Kenmore family.
And if the beings they encountered in their backyard are real, that might indicate the paranormal activity they've been experiencing since that event is also real. Um, do you have any insight or ideas about the paranormal activity associated with that contact event and other contact events?
Well, I mean, I read one of the books by Dr. John Mack a few years ago about his interviewing, people that claimed they were abducted by aliens and whatnot. And according to his study, and mind you, this is a former tenured professor at Harvard University, psychiatrist, who was almost kicked out of Harvard because he was investigating UFO abductions, right? Alien abductions of human beings, and came to a very suspicious death at a car accident, to which I don't think anybody really has paid enough attention to that circumstance. Anyway,
I've talked about
but
that on the channel. Yeah, very suspicious.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very suspicious, and I'd like to get my hands on that crash report. So, if anybody out there has an authentic access to crash report with photographs that killed Dr. John Mack and his family, I think too, right?
I
Or was
thought
it
it was
just him
just
and his
him.
wife?
Was it his family as
I thought
well?
he was him and his family. I mean, I think they took out everybody. I'm not sure, but
The
if
weird, the
anybody out
weirdest thing I
there,
heard about this, and this just could
yeah,
be an urban legend, was that there were three other John Macks killed by vehicles that same day in that same area. So, that could be an urban legend. I would love to see that confirmed or debunked. But yeah, very
yeah,
suspicious.
yeah, if anybody out there in the international community has access to the crash photographs, crash report, witness statements, anything regarding the death of John Mack, send it to me, Scott Roder at Gmail. I want to look at it. That's something I'm looking to investigate in my official capacity as a crime scene reconstruction expert, because that's something I know I'll be able to solve. But anyway, one thing Dr. John Mack said was, these things come with instances of high strangeness. And I think the evidence is mounting that the paranormal and the uh, anomalous are intertwined in some way. I don't know how. I have no idea. I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus Christ of Nazareth. That's my religion, and and I was raised Catholic. And Catholics around the world have all been taught that there are demons, there are angels, and that there's a heaven and there's a hell, and these are things that the majority of the people walking the earth believe. uh, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying if I, have belief in aliens and demons, but if the people that say they know are right about ancient history and the origins of humanity and spirituality and God and so forth, there's something to it. Probably that there might be something to the paranormal being mixed in with the extraterrestrial. Listen, I don't try to push religion on anybody. I think everybody has the ability to make decisions for themselves, and I fully encourage them to do that. Uh, and do your own investigation and research as to the nature of the reality that you want to exist in. And so do I believe that it's tied to it some way? Well, Angel thinks it's tied to the phenomenon in some way, and I believe Angel. I believe he's an authentic kid. I think he's telling the truth. And I actually wanted to reach out. I reached out to Angel's attorney because I wanted to do a reconstruction in the yard. I want to go there with Angel, and I will look at the backyard. And one of the one of the debunkers on the News Nation show, Ben Hansen, said, well, we'll never know because you can't reconstruct this to see if it's really a shadow, even though I proved that it's not a shadow with my simple explanation, and also with the technology inside of our, AI fueled vector art engine that verified that it's not a shadow as well. But we can prove that it's not a shadow with a tactical reconstruction. So Ben Hansen, we can prove it. All I would need is access to the yard, access to Angel and his family, those flashlights, do it at about midnight, make sure the lighting is the same, and we can go there and film it with the mom's camera. Reconstruct. We have all of the pieces to reconstruct that beyond any reasonable doubt. Angel, if you're
Love it.
listening, I'd like to come out there and do that. And finally, once and for all, we can take all these people that are attacking you guys and tell them to shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down, and wait until we call you for something, because this is not your area to talk about. This is for us to talk about. We've got the skills and the abilities to do it. We've got the people, if they want to participate with us, to do it. And I think we should do it.
I hope you get the chance, man. That'd be wonderful. That'd be awesome. I think that'd be fantastic for the investigation into what's going on in Las Vegas or what went
Yeah,
down in Las Vegas. Okay,
yeah.
one more question about Las Vegas. All right. The UFO, there were some reports that it had even crashed in that backyard. I don't know what happened to that UFO. Do you have any insight into the fate of that UFO?
I have no insight whatsoever. Although I will share a hypothesis that Jim Quirk had, and I kind of like it too. Okay, so let's say it is a UFO, and let's say this UFO, for whatever reason, crashed down to Earth and landed in Angel's backyard. I would think that if that in those circumstances, that would be an unplanned visitation, right? And I would think that the occupants of that UFO would be trying to repair that UFO as quickly as possible to get out of Dodge. And that the actions that the beings took in the backyard was simply to buy time so that they could fix it and get out of there. Because when the police came and they went to the backyard, strangely enough, there's 13 minutes of missing footage from the officer's camera that cannot be requested under Freedom of Information Act, because they're claiming the Kenmore family doesn't want it released because they don't want the floor plans of the yard to get out, which is bullshit. You can get a floor plan of the yard on Google Earth in like 2 minutes, okay? Which I've done. So I think it's very weird that the Las Vegas Police Department will not release that 13 minutes of footage from the body camera of the police officer that, when he exited the property, looked at Angel and the family and said, "Next time, don't call us."
Well, we also don't have the body cam footage from the Miami Mall incident. I don't know if you've studied the Miami Mall incident at all, but a very weird incident where there were over 100 police cars for some strange thing, and there were out of 100 police cars, there were four arrests of juveniles that didn't have guns or anything. Something went down there, and there is body cam footage that they are not releasing. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here's another call to action, Jack. All right. I looked at some of the footage that was available on the Miami Mall incident, and the footage outside the mall, I'm not that interested in. The footage inside the mall, that's what I want. So anybody out there that was at the mall that day and has footage inside of the mall, and you can send me your original video, I think that might be real. Okay. There's some footage out there that I saw of very compelling, bizarre, tall, 9 foot, 10 foot beings, cloaked almost in all black, like they were smudged out. But I can't. But I don't know, because it's just a multi generational video, and I don't have the original footage, right? Like I did in the Vegas case, we were able to obtain like the very next original footage. But I don't have any of that footage on the Miami Mall. So if anybody out there, New Year's Day this year, we're at the Miami Mall. Was that this year? Was that this year?
Was it in February? I want to say it was
Yeah.
February.
I thought it was New Year's Day. I thought it
Fact
was New
check me.
Year's
Oh yeah.
Day.
Okay. Okay. There you go.
I
There you
think it
go.
was New Year's Day,
Yeah.
2024
No.
at the
Yeah.
Miami
I think
Mall.
you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah. So if anybody out there, New Year's Day, Miami Mall, you have original footage, contact me. Okay. I want to see that footage, because we'll use the same treatment that we did to prove these beings in the backyard. And we'll apply that same thing to the Miami Mall thing, because I think that there's something to that case. I can't say one way or the other. I have a suspicion that it's real, but I'd like to see some of the footage to try to determine if it really is real. And if I get original footage, I can answer those questions definitively, Jack.
Well, there is a witness that keeps claiming that he has great footage and he's going to release it, but he has not yet. So we'll see if that ever happens, but I definitely think that'd be a great use of your expertise. Uh,
Yeah, I find that case amazing, and I think that there's definitely something there. There's definitely something there. Something happened. Uh, it's being covered up. I don't know what. I think it might be the aliens or these beings or whatever they are, scaring
it could
everybody
have been
half to
other
death.
dimensional or something. Who
Yeah,
knows?
we
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, we just don't know what we don't know, you know. But I find it interesting, and it's a breath of fresh air for me, you know, because typically I'm dealing with people murdering each other, and another episode of why people suck, you know. So the UFO phenomenon and aliens, as scary and ontologically weird as that might be, to me is like a, you know, it's like a tic tac, uh, a breath of fresh air to avoid the pun there, because it's a lighter side of life, you know. We know people suck. We don't know if aliens suck just yet. They might do. They probably. Who knows? But I think it's interesting to find out.
All right, guys, give Scott a tic tac and send him some videos. And I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Scott. I really appreciate it. Awesome expertise. And leading the way, pioneering a new area of research into studying alien videos. I love it. I love it. All right.
Absolutely. And the last thing that I have to say to people out there, it's by the people, for the benefit of the all. I'm not going to make a penny on this. It's all nonprofit. So send me the stuff. We'll work on it together. Let's do this.
All right. And tell people again how they can get in touch with you.
They can get in touch with me either on my YouTube channel, Scott Roeder at Crime Scene. You can check me out on Spotify, the Crime Scene Time Machine podcast. You can send me an email, scottroeder at Gmail, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you.